Good afternoon, I'm Chris Sinachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. Human remains found last June in a barn north of Winnipeg have been confirmed to be those of a toddler. The RCMP have started a homicide investigation and are looking for any information and even photos to help find the missing pieces of the child's life before she died. According to the RCMP, the remains belong to Xavier Sky Lynn Butler, who may have been 1 or 2 years old at the time of her death. The remains were found in a barn near Gramdale, Manitoba on June 3rd. RCMP investigators say they believe the last time Xavier was seen alive was about 1 year before her body was found. They are asking the public for help to track her whereabouts during that time. No missing person reports were ever filed for Xavier. RCMP are also asking the public to submit photos to help build a better timeline of her life. They also want people to call in if they physically saw Xavier after March of 2022. If you have information, please call RCMP Major Crime Services at 431-489-8112 or Crime Stoppers. Yesterday was election day for leaders of the Federation of Sovereign Indigenous Nations in Saskatchewan. The ballots have now been counted and results are in for who is now third vice chief, first vice chief, and the chief of the FSIN. Our APTN video journalist Rachel May was on the election floor yesterday and brings us this update.
Voting began at 9 a.m. Thursday morning and wrapped up at 11 a.m. There was around 1,000 registered voters. When talking to people during the voting process, many said that they were split on who they think will win which spot. Each candidate had been meeting with voters, taking time to answer questions and connect with the 74 First Nations that the FSIN represents. The ballots have been counted and the results are now in. Fabian Head has been voted in as third vice chief with 507 votes. First vice chief is David Pratt with an overwhelming 849 votes. And Bobby Cameron has been re-elected chief of the FSIN with 765 votes, beating Ali Bear's 258. Here's a little of what he said.
I give thanks to each and every one of you for being here, for believing in something and someone. We're believing in what we have always believed, the inherent and treaty-based implementation.
I'll be bringing you the full reporting later on in our evening news. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Over in Nova Scotia now, in Cape Breton, where a historic $125 million land settlement for a Mi'kmaq community could open the door for other First Nations seeking compensation of their own. CTV's Ryan McDonald brings us this story.
Back in June, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced a $125 million land settlement for Wegoma First Nation. Now the community has decided to accept the financial compensation, and people will soon start receiving checks.
It's a long time coming.
Mi'kmaq lawyer and educator Jarvis Gugu grew up in Wegoma. Most of his life, he's been aware of the 4 decades of negotiations over a dispute that started in the 1860s, when more than 160 hectares were taken over by the community of Waikagama next door.
It's a nice payout for individual band members, especially with the holidays coming up, not too far from now. And the other thing I like too is having some money set aside as a trust for economic development opportunities there.
You're going to see more and more of this.
Mi'kmaq heritage advocate Jeff Ward calls it an act of reconciliation and says it could be a precedent for other First Nations communities to seek similar compensation.
In order to have reconciliation, you must know the truth. And the truth is, there was a lot of bad land deals.
This monument here along Kings Road in Sydney stands where Member 2 First Nation did until the early 20th century, when the people were forcibly moved up the hill to where the community stands today.
Even though we bought most of it back, I think that compensation, the Canadian government needs to make it right.
According to a statement posted to Wegoma's Facebook page, each resident 19 and older will receive a check for more than $75,000, with the same amount going into a trust fund for those under 19. Jarvis Gugu, who says he's still a band member and will be getting a check of his own, is encouraging other communities to dig into their history.
Talking to elders who are aware of it, going through archival documents and learn about illegal see illegal sales of land without proper informed consent, I would love for the community to pursue that.
It's expected the first payments will start to arrive in December. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
In Ontario, a family continues to ask the public for help in finding information on what happened to a missing Manitoulin Island woman. CTV's Lindsay Alick reports.
Juanita Migwans, or Winnie, as her family calls her, was last seen walking on Riverside Drive in Chaging on October 4th at approximately 5 p.m. OPP Detective Inspector Raymond St. Pierre says the investigation remains active and ongoing.
Our investigators have conducted numerous door knocks, conducted numerous interviews, following up on tips of sightings. The OPP and UCCM have conducted ground searches. We have used aviation services from the OPP and UCCM. So that includes helicopter, that includes drones.
We just need people to keep sharing, talking to the police, and we simply need a lead. It's hard to believe in this day and age that with all of the communications and cameras and stuff, that she's literally dropped off the face of the earth.
Her family says she was part of the drug world, so they say they feel there are three possibilities as to what happened to her.
One, she's OD'd, and we have yet to find her. Two, she's been murdered. And three, she's been transported somewhere and is in the sex trafficking world. So as Morris said, no, none of those are good answers. And that's why we really need the community to come on board.
We're looking for assistance, and the police can't do it on their own. We need community engagement. We need people to, step up and share that information. And if they're not comfortable in speaking to us directly, there is Crime Stoppers that people can reach out to.
St. Pierre says there is also a dedicated tip line which can be seen on your screen below. November 2nd, this Saturday, marks 1 month since Juanita went missing. A prayer vigil will be held from 5 to 6 p.m. at the Chaging Bay/Beach Park for anyone wishing to attend. Lindsay Alick, CTV News, Sudbury.
A survey in Thunder Bay is hoping to find out how big the economic impact is from Indigenous people in the city. That interview when we're back in 3 minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back. A law firm in Manitoba known for taking on class action lawsuits for Indigenous clients is rebranding itself. And as TR Wheatley shows you, it's a timely honoring for a well-known Anishinaabe man with a law career that spans almost half a century.
Logos in this law office in downtown Winnipeg will soon be replaced, going from Cochrane-Saxburg.
This represents the 7 sacred teachings. They represent as well like the TP or even like a fighter.
To Cochrane-Sinclair, as in Justice Murray Sinclair. Harold Sonny Cochrane says the rebranding started back in February.
Our rebranding is about honoring Murray's lifelong work, and that's what we decided to do, to honor that work. His contributions to the Indigenous community and really to Canadian society at large is unmatched.
Sinclair became the first Aboriginal judge in Manitoba in the 80s. He later led the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, or TRC, then became a senator where he retired in 2021. That's when he joined this law firm as a mentor to young Indigenous lawyers.
When Murray Sinclair first joined our law firm, I said it was like Wayne Gretzky joining your hockey team. His contribution to our firm has been invaluable. His mentorship, his wisdom, the principles that he stands for, it's all shaped our legal firm and the work we do today.
Cochrane says the rebranding is also a reflection of the growth this firm has seen over the past 7 years. While they are still a full-service law firm, they pride themselves in taking on cases that push for systemic change.
We are committed to dealing with addressing historical wrongs, achieving reconciliation. We now lead some of the largest class actions in Canadian history.
Lawsuits on issues such as treaty annuity and child welfare.
Just recently, we settled probably the largest class action in Manitoba's history, and that was a $530 million class action lawsuit that we started back in around 2018. It had to do with child tax benefits for children in care.
With 2 offices in Manitoba already, they recently opened 2 more in British Columbia. Cochrane says they started with 11 lawyers and have since tripled in size.
Cochrane-Sinclair is Canada's largest First Nation-led law firm. Roughly half of our lawyers are Indigenous, so First Nation, Métis lawyers. Over half our lawyers are female lawyers, so it's something we're very, very proud of.
Sean Scarcello is one of the original crew. While non-Indigenous himself, he sees the contributions both Sinclair and Cochrane have made.
When I was first articling, Sonny sort of brought me into the fold, I guess, and he was just starting out his practice. And he gave me opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to take on, at that time, what I didn't appreciate or went in blindly, important matters. Like I was counsel in the Phoenix Sinclair inquiry as a third-year lawyer.
Scarcello said the rebranding was a unanimous decision in the firm. Everyone here knows Sinclair's legacy is far-reaching.
How he has affected change, not just within the legal system, but to society as a whole. It's just an honor to work with him and to know him.
This past week, the website was updated, timely as news of Sinclair's health was made public on Facebook by his family.
We did have that discussion. Is it appropriate to roll out the brand now? And after talking with his family, they agreed that now was the right time. So with their blessing, we took the website. He was very pleased with it, which is what we're happy to hear. But our prayers are with him, and we hope that he recovers fully and is back in our office shortly.
To carry on the work, Sinclair penned with the TRC and the 94 calls to action. TR Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
A survey is underway in Thunder Bay this month to gauge the impact of Indigenous peoples on the local economy. The Northern Ontario city has one of the highest populations of urban Indigenous people in Canada and also acts as a service hub for more than 40 First Nations. Michael Fox is the CEO of Indigenous and Community Engagement, Inc., the company conducting the study. We recently spoke to him this week. Michael, thank you for chatting with us. My first question for you is, can you tell us why it's important to look at the economic impact of Indigenous peoples in the economy of Thunder Bay?
Well, that's a very good question. It's a question we get posed lots about it. What is the purpose and what is the why behind the study? So I would say that it's going to provide a clear picture of the economic role Indigenous businesses and organizations play within the local GDP of Thunder Bay, which is often probably underestimated and overlooked. It will probably empower local governments, First Nations, economic development organizations, and Indigenous organizations with data-driven insights, to make informed decisions, improve policies, and direct resources to where they may be most needed for local entrepreneurs, and probably it will highlight the Indigenous contributions to the economy, challenging stereotypes, fostering a great appreciation of the Indigenous-led economic growth for the community.
Michael, do you think the findings might challenge some of the misconceptions about the economic contributions of the First Nations in the city? You talked about it a little bit there.
Yeah, so we're looking at the number of Indigenous organizations within Thunder Bay, which there are many, much more than probably most people realize, and the size of those. I mean, there's one tribal council that's over 500 employees, and we have provincial-wide organizations like the Ontario Native Women's Association, that's up to 200 employees. So it's going to challenge, plus a number of students, Indigenous students, right from high school, from Dennis Comarty High School to the Confederation College to Lakehead University, that has probably 1,000 Indigenous students from all over Canada that attends this. So they make an economic contribution to the local economy.
Do you think there's a chance the survey's findings could lead to some economic reconciliation? And if so, what kind?
Well, that's a very good question. So right now, they are emerging as an economic force, in Thunder Bay, and part of that larger base, economic base and contributions, probably in the resource sector. So the industry players are probably looking at joint ventures and partnerships, even direct investments in some of these ventures that the First Nations and Indigenous entrepreneurs are making. So yes, I can see economic reconciliation initiatives coming out of this report.
Finally, Michael, what are your hopes for the findings and the follow-up here?
There's probably a number of different outcomes. One of them is probably changing the perception, of Indigenous people in general, like they are an economic force. They're just not measured in terms of their contribution to the local economy. The other one's probably inspiring, Indigenous entrepreneurs, especially the younger ones, that they too can be develop an enterprise and grow and contribute locally, as well as showing the taxpayers of the City Hall as well, the amount of taxes they're contributing locally to City Hall, and that in return maybe there's some services and programs that can support, for the less disadvantaged of Indigenous peoples.
Michael Fox, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Very good, thank you.
The crew behind the Indigenous musical Bear Grease is gearing up for another show in the Vancouver area. We have actor Crystal Lightning up next to tell us more about the show. Stick around. Starting on the east, Halifax 15 and Sun, Charlottetown 15. Cartwright 3, Nain 1. Gaspé 5, Saguenay 6. Peterborough 11, Sarnia 22. -4 in Wawa, Thunder Bay, +1. -3 in God's Lake, Puckatawagan, -2. 2 in Winnipeg, 0, Princess Harbour. -3 in Regina, Saskatoon, -2. Orange, -4, Stony Rapids, -6. 1 in Peace River, Grand Prairie, 1 as well. Lethbridge, 11, Edmonton, 1. 10 in Penticton, Campbell River, 8. Prince Rupert, 8, Dees Lake, -2. -5 in Watson Lake, Whitehorse, 2. -4 in Yellowknife, Fort Simpson, -8. Sax Harbor, -14. Colville Lake, -12. Whale Cove, -8. Baker Lake, -7. And Iqaluit, 1. And Igloolik, -8. Bear Grease, the musical, a reimagined spin-off of the hit film Grease, has been entertaining audiences across North America. Joining us today is the creator and director of the show, Crystal Lightning. Crystal Lightning, it's an honor to have you on our show. We are excited to talk about your show, Bear Grease, the musical. First off, congratulations on all of your success. Can you share with us what Bear Grease is and when it started?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for having me. Bear Grease started about 3 years ago, and it is the Indigenous twist on the original 1978 film with John Travolta. And so we just decided to put our little stamp on there and go for it.
I love it. How did you come up with the idea?
So my husband Cloud and I were sitting on the couch, and we were just watching regular cable TV, and Grease came on. And we both love Grease. We're like, oh, let's watch it. And the song Summer Lovin' came on, and he looks at me and he goes, "Summer snagging, had me a blast." And I went, "Summer snagging, happened so fast." And then he goes, "I met a girl, she's Enoch Cree." And I went, "I met a boy, he's not related to me." And we started laughing, and we thought, wouldn't it be so amazing if there was an Indigenous version of this? Because we never had that type of representation or even opportunities, like that, to play cool characters. And so we thought, what would that look like? And so I thought, oh my gosh, the wardrobe would be so cool. Like, we'll keep it 50s, but we'll tie in, instead of poodle skirts, we'll put a bear on there and we'll put ribbons on it. And we'll keep our beadwork. And instead of the, it'll be the tugboats instead of the Thunderbirds, or the T-Birds. So we just indigenized it and added some cultural in there, cultural aspects, and we have some Cree songs in there. We have some of our original music in there as well. But it was important that we kept it 50s, like the original.
I love that story. That's great. I do the same thing with my family when we're listening to songs. I switch it around and indigenize it as well. Yeah. So that's funny. Who is all in the show? Can you talk about who the actors are?
Sure. We have a wonderful cast. Oh my goodness. All from Turtle Island. Up here in the north, we have mostly everybody's from Treaty 6. Tammy Lamouche, Sky Gladue. We have Rodney McLeod from Frog Lake. We have Melody MacArthur from Big Stone Cree Nation. Bryce Moore and myself are from Enoch Cree Nation. And then we have some American cast members that are Navajo Dene from New Mexico, Los Angeles, Oklahoma, Tesla Wolf. She's an incredible dancer. She just joined us, as well as Justin Geem and Raven Bright. They're all from down south. And then we also have Kean Buffalo, who's our newest male cast member. He's from Muscatine.
Great representation from all across the country and the South. We understand your next performance is in North Vancouver on November 8th. People make that set that calendar date. What can the audience expect for that night?
You guys, this is a comedy. This is a roaring, energetic spin on Grease, but we'll also be expecting some Motown in there. We open up the show with with Motown, just to show that, man, they got some pipes on them, dancing, humor, it's hilarious. Like, it is so funny. So come to the theater knowing you guys are gonna laugh. You'll probably cry a little bit too. We touch all the emotions, For our white friends and family, it's a total safe space for you guys to laugh and have a good time. It's for everyone. You're safe with us in the theater. In the parking lot, I can't help you guys. It's just a little bit of a jokes. It's for everyone. It really is. We want everyone to enjoy it from our elders. We dedicate the show to our elders because and we do that every night because they were robbed of that time, with all of the atrocities that happened with our people, boarding schools, residential schools. So we like to try to have a corrective experience for them and show this is what it would have looked like in a parallel universe if we had never been colonized. If we would have won, this is what would have looked like. And so for our youth as well, like we have some hip hop in there, and we want to also inspire our youth, and show them like, look at, this is what we do for a living. We get to travel and tour and perform in front of you guys and have a great time. It's a lot of hard work, but the payoff is like, there's nothing like it.
Well, Crystal Lightning, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me. It's always such a joy.
Right on, Crystal Lightning and the Bear Grease cast. Thank you so much. And that's your midday newscast for this Friday, November 1st. Sav Jones will be here for your evening newscast with brand new stories in a few hours. Make sure to join us again. From all of us at APTN National News, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next day.